G'day mates, it's your host Mary O'Neill Phillips and you are listening to Country Outdoors Podcast.
Morgan Hylton, welcome to Country Outdoors Podcast.
Thank you so much for having me, Mary.
You're welcome. Guys, this week we've got somebody a little bit different. This is something I've been excited to do is I get to now choose who I want on the podcast and have a little bit different characters, not just celebrities. Morgan Hylton is the owner of Almost Heaven Plantation, and if you've watched our shows over the last year, you'll have seen we came down here and we bass fished here, and then we've just done quail hunting down here as well. But Morgan is a outdoors woman. She's the owner of a plantation, operates quail, duck hunting, conservationist, and I'm just excited to kind of dig into your family's story and just hear more about you.
I'm so excited to share it.
So let's start. Your family originally it's called Almost Heaven Plantation, guys. And so like when we first met Morgan, we were like, I wonder if they're from West Virginia at all. Turns out you guys are. The entire plantation is a nod to West Virginia, really. Let's start though back as to, your family's history, coming from West Virginia, the mining history, and then moving here.
That's right.
Yeah.
So we were originally from West Virginia. I grew up in the town of Beckley, West Virginia, so that's in the southernmost part, which is a very historical place for the coal industry. So my father had a big role in that, but my grandfather did too. So it's a full coal mining family, as much of everybody else was in that time of the state too. We were lucky enough to have done well in it, and they learned a lot on the business side of things, and so they were able to develop that and grew it into different organizations, one being called the Friends of Coal.
Which is huge.
It's a global organization.
Yeah.
And so that was the foundation of that in the early 2000s. So it really changed the look on the outlook of coal, because it's seen as both, good and bad in great ways, but that was their kind of pride and prejudice to the state. And so we're very proud of our background for being from West Virginia. Pretty much everybody you meet from there, they're going to say the same thing.
Yeah, yep.
But so we wanted to bring a little bit of that to South Carolina with us. It's my father's dream. He's the one that found this place. We wanted somewhere that was within 6 hours of home so we could still go visit. We still have property up there. We have family. So 6 hours was kind of our range. Went from Virginia down to Florida, just looking at, I'd say, hundreds of properties. My dad
why do you think you wanted to come to the South?
The South, you could do a little bit of everything here.
Yeah, gotcha.
If you're not hunting, you're fishing. There's always something to do in the outdoors. And that's not just a great place for anybody to live, but for future generations to live. Not that you can't do that in West Virginia, it's just a little cold in the winter.
Yeah.
Not as much opportunity there.
Yeah.
So still able to help that state as much as we can, but bring a little bit of it down here too.
And so, for you growing up, when did you first get into hunting, and what did that look like?
I couldn't tell you age. It's honestly been forever. I think the first real hunt that I went on and killed something myself was for a deer. I was maybe, 6 years old, and I got a little spike. Some people like to start their kids out on a big buck, but don't do it. Let them grow up.
Yeah.
Let them experience it. Have the full joy. Exactly. Earn it. That goes for everything.
And so was that with your dad?
Yes.
And so you kind of shadowed your dad. You were like the son he didn't have, yeah?
Exactly.
Or the little girl that he did have.
Oh, yeah. I was definitely a daddy's little girl.
Yeah.
And he was the hero in my storybook for sure.
Yeah.
He just passed 3 weeks ago tomorrow. So it's been pretty tough for the past few weeks.
Yeah.
And it's definitely been a change in life. But he was sick for the past year. But my goal is just to honor his dreams here. And I'm thankful that we shared that passion. So it's not something that's just going to end. It's something I want to continue on and teach my kids someday.
That's awesome. And so I know that bass fishing was a huge thing for him too. And you guys have your big, it's 90-acre bass pond down here too. And you can catch all types of bass as well. And then they've got the quail. Were you guys always looking to hone in on quail hunting? Was that number one for you? Or?
Not necessarily. That's kind of just what the
low
main
country
goal
brings.
is for here.
Yeah. Yeah. And then so what do you think is your personal goal for the family legacy, and then for you as a sportswoman as well?
I just want to share the outdoors. I want to teach in it. I think it's a big thing for getting more women in the outdoors.
Yeah.
The past few years, just the outdoor industry since COVID has increased tremendously, that I'm sure y'all have experienced. But the female aspect, I think, is just starting to kind of branch out a little. And as being a female owner-operator, I feel like I have the chance to bring some of that to the table, introduce new people to this sport. Because primarily with the quail, it was considered the gentleman's sport.
For sure.
And it still is in a lot of cases.
Yeah.
But I think that's more so changed if that's just the demeanor of the hunt. It doesn't fundamentally mean it's a gentleman that's doing it anymore.
Yeah.
It's just, it's an etiquette style.
Yeah. And you and I have had this conversation off camera, and it's totally fine. It just is what it is. But like, you know, now that you're kind of stepping into being like you're the owner, director, and you're going to be taking over a lot of that. Do you think there's going to be challenges with you being the female? Or, I know you've got a lot of men still working for you, and we discussed this. It's like, not every male wants to be guided or taught by a female.
Right.
So like, how do you work around that?
I'm aware of it.
Yeah.
And I think that's a key thing.
Yeah.
A lot of people are just oblivious to it, and it's their way or the highway.
Yeah.
But I'm willing to work on that.
Yeah.
Or if it's something I can do, let me know. If there's something I can change or work out better for you, that's fine. You know, it's just a matter of figuring out what that is between each of it. But we encourage new shooters. We have new and old of all kinds. If you're an experienced shooter and you want to come out, great. You know, we're going to have a good time no matter what. But we really like to have those new hunters, new outdoorsmen, and teach them what it's about.
Yeah. No, I love that. So something I really want to touch on is like your land management practices, because you guys have got 2,000 acres, I believe.
Yes.
And you've got, we just dove hunted this morning, and well, Morgan can tell you the story behind it, but it was a great dove field, loads of birds. Do you want to tell a little bit about the history of that, and then kind of let us know a bit about like the land management practices here throughout the year seasonally?
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. So as far as the background on the land management, I learned a lot from what my dad did, because he's managed properties his whole life.
Yeah.
So I was able to learn a lot there. But my goal for the past 10 years has just been nonstop to learn as much as I can from everyone I'm around. I've had the opportunity to be around different managers from this area, from down in Florida, Arkansas, Texas, just going to as many places as I can, learning how they do things, and have been doing them for years, and take back what I can do better for my property.
Yeah.
And so we've changed that, and it's continuously going to change and improve. There's always going to be things to improve on. But burning our quail woods, prescribed burns, that's a major thing that we do here. We plant a lot of food plots and various different things. We try and promote the growth of wildlife. We're here for a hunting experience. I'm not going to give you a shooting, a killing experience.
Knowing when to rest the property.
Some people, that's all they want to do, is they want to go out and kill. And I'm not saying that, you know, in a bad manner. That's great. If you want to do that, that's fine. But this is a place to have that experience with your guest, have that camaraderie with whoever you're with.
Yeah, the story.
Yes.
Yeah. Tell me this, what do you think is like one of the biggest challenges managing land and being a property owner in the Southeast, just in general, and in 2025, like with the economy and everything like that?
The economy has changed a lot on everything.
Yeah.
Everybody's had to raise their prices, no matter what.
Yeah.
I mean, as far as if you're selling something, or even if you just have private property, your cost has gone up. Fertilizer alone.
Land taxes?
Land taxes they've gone up, but out of everything that I'd be worried about, that's not on my highest for right now. It's just what it takes
to keep up with the management.
Exactly.
Zach, myself, and the Country Outdoors family are proud to have Hawk Optics as a sponsor. When it comes to clarity, precision, and overall quality of the product, we have found Hawk Optics to be top of the line and field tested their products year round and had great success. You can check out this example here on the screen of my recent Colorado elk hunt, where I harvest this monster bull elk using the Frontier 30 SF hooked up onto my fix from Q. Country Outdoors podcast is proudly presented by Nomad Outdoor. Guys, we've worked with Nomad Outdoor since the beginning of Country Outdoors, and there's a reason for that. They have the absolute best hunting apparel in the hunting industry. We have worn their clothing spring. We've worn their clothing in the fall. We've worn their clothing in the summer. We've worn their clothing on the ice. We've worn it everywhere. We absolutely love it. Guys, they're a Southeastern brand. They represent us. They represent sportsmen and women. Whether it's in the field or by the campfire, Nomad Outdoor has something for every occasion. So you'll come on, go check them out.
You've got your dove shoot, and that's a members only thing. We discussed that. She said that she just has a mailing list and not even doing any marketing on it, but she sends out the mailing list. First people to respond get in. She said within 20 minutes they sold out, which is incredible. Do you have like other member clubs around for like deer and things like that as well, duck?
So the only other membership we have is for the ducks.
Yep.
So we have a waterfowl membership. We're very new into that.
Yeah.
We've had the duck ponds ever since we bought the property 14 years ago.
Yeah.
And we've had a lot of success in the ducks.
Yeah.
Past few years, the migration patterns changed a little, and we've had hurricanes. So it's been harder, but we're just trying to figure that out for our annual memberships.
Yeah.
But it's the same deal kind of as the quail. We send an announcement out in the fall, and then that sells from there.
And what species would you say is like the most popular? Is it the quail?
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
For down here.
Yes.
And do you see, like, in terms of your clientele, is majority of it local, or are people coming in for it?
Currently local, but that's because we haven't started our marketing program full blast yet.
Yeah.
So we're really operating on mostly word of mouth.
Yep.
And that's worked really well for us, surprisingly well,
Yeah.
in the past few years.
Yeah.
I've recently been told this is a hard industry to be in. And it was at Dallas Safari Club, and a pretty well-known character came up and said, "Why did you get into this? This is a pretty hard industry." I'm like, "Well, I didn't know. We're having a great time."
Yeah.
Come see us in South Carolina.
Well, also, so they've just finished and are still adding on. They have a really great event space. Ty can insert some B-roll here so you guys can get a bit of a tease of what's around the property, but as well, like once you guys start to advertise that and you can bring in corporate groups and stuff like that, that'll like add in a whole other experience as well.
It will.
Yeah.
And in the marketing side, I think we'll grow that. We've got a few magazines articles out. We're just now barely touching into the expo side of things.
Yeah.
So that's all helpful. Being able to stand and talk to a person is the best way that you can do things. But the only way you could really get the full experience is to come. Yeah. Come see it for yourself. I can put pictures and videos online, but you're never going to understand what it fully is until you're here.
Sure. Now, in terms of your own personal hunting career, tell me like some of the favorite hunts, memories that you've had, and then I want to hear like what your dream hunt is. I want to hear favorite memory, worst hunting experience, and then I want to hear dream hunt.
Okay. Favorite hunting experience, that would be really tough. I would say for a most memorable, and I guess you could call it favorite, would be for the buffalo. Yeah. That was just that you talk about big game. You're not going to get much bigger than that in North America. Yeah. We raised them back in the day. Yeah. So it was a Christmas present to my dad from my mom. She traded off one of her horses and bought 2 buffalo, and she pulled up in a horse trailer.
These aren't any type of horses either.
They were a quarter horse back then. Yeah. They were. But she pulled up in the horse trailer right before Christmas. He's like, "Oh man, she bought another horse. We don't need another horse here." Open up the back and 2 buffalo come jumping out, and it was his Christmas present.
How big were the buffalo at the time?
They were young. Yeah. They were young at that point. And they ended up bringing more in so we could raise them, and we ended up with 120 head. Wow. Whenever we sold them off. And that was probably over 10 years ago whenever that happened.
Were you, at the time that you had them as well, like killing them for like to eat for meat?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. So that
personally?
We did it personally. At that point, we really didn't sell many of them. Yeah. You know, you take a few out a year for people to put into their homes and sell them in a small thing. Yeah. But otherwise, no, we just kept them. We enjoyed having them. Yeah. The only way to herd a buffalo is you don't herd a buffalo. They go kind of where they want to go. Yeah. But we bucket trained them, and they were really awesome. But why it was so memorable is you always go for the alpha. So you have your group out there, no matter how many you're going for, you always go for the alpha
and
first.
then one takes on the alpha as soon as one drops out, right?
Yes, but the process in doing that is the fun part. So you have a herd. First one knocks down. The herd comes running over from wherever they are. You know, they'll spook it first.
Right.
They come right back to it. They start horning it, trying to get it to stand back up. They give it a chance first, but then they start to circle. And you just see a cloud of dust, and you hear a stampede of buffalo just circling this thing.
Wow.
And they do that for 5 to 10 minutes straight. And then they run out, and it's immediately decided who the next alpha is. And so whenever...
And how do you see who the next alpha is?
It seems like it's more so they're up front. It's an attitude thing. And
they're leading
yes,
the group.
Yes. It was an incredible experience. So
Yeah.
I'd put that at most memorable.
I can't remember what the movie was that Zach and I watched, but it was about like the English, like, well, not the English, but when they first wiped out the water buffalo, and that one guy that went out, well, wasn't one guy, this was the movie it was about, and he stayed out there and he wiped out a bunch of them, and they kind of showed what that whole process was, but that was obviously like the destruction of the water buffalo.
Right.
But that would be pretty cool to watch that. Okay, so that's cool. And so I'm looking at one of the water buffalo right now on the wall behind us.
That's it. That's it.
Very cool. And then you guys kept all the meat, and yeah, buffalo is amazing to eat.
It is.
Yeah.
Very lean. We use it all the time.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Awesome. Okay, so that's a very cool, very like once in a lifetime bucket list good hunt. Worst experience?
Worst experience would be, I know we talked about Argentina a little bit yesterday.
Yeah.
The hunting itself was incredible. I can't complain on that. I've never been in more like physical pain in my life from shooting straight that long for a week. The accommodations were a little rough, and that would make it kind of a challenging time. But otherwise, it seemed that, so my dad was my hunting partner. We always hunted together no matter what it was. But it seemed we found a lot of streak of bad luck no matter where we went. Sitting in the middle of a dove field and a thunderstorm would seem to always roll through. Or we'd be on a fishing tournament one time, and we were on the way to the finish line, ran out of gas. You could see the finish line.
And you were like,
disqualified immediately.
no.
So all kinds of those little experiences that
Just
we
like
had.
testing your character type thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
As opposed to like, except we won't mention the outfitter, but she did tell me about this experience she had in Argentina, and like she said, the hunting was good, but like everybody in camp got food poisoned like every day, and they ended up eating like peanut butter sandwiches or something.
For a week.
For a week.
We stopped at a gas station.
To the point that she opened up a banana and there were worms inside the banana.
That too.
Like
That too.
not great.
It was not great.
No.
I think it was day 4 or day 5 of that 7-day trip. We were on the way to the field, which was like a 3-hour drive to the field in a terrible van. It was a terrible experience. Hot as it could be.
Yeah.
We passed a gas station. We're like, hey, can we stop? And the driver's like, well, we kind of got to get to our city. We're like, no, we'd really love to stop at this gas station.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, okay, well, fine. So he's like, I got to call and tell him what we're doing, though. So we did. We talked him into stopping. We went in there, couldn't read a thing. I knew, like pollo was chicken. So I'm like, that's chicken. I'm sure that's chicken. And they're like, no, I don't want that. So they picked out what we think was a ham sandwich. We got every one that they had in the case. And every time I tell this story, they're like, so that's where you got the food poisoning? Was at the gas station in Argentina? No, that sandwich saved our lives.
Yeah.
That was the best thing that we'd had to eat ever. Forget any gourmet meal. Ham sandwich on the side of a road, middle of farm country in Argentina.
Not ideal at all. All right, and so you've hunted all around the world already, but like what is like your bucket list, like hunt and then weapon?
My next thing I want to do, I wouldn't know if it's just top of the bucket list, but my next is just sandhill cranes. I know it sounds crazy, but I just think they're fascinating. I think the experience is fun.
You're very much a bird girl, aren't you?
I am.
Yeah.
I am.
Yeah.
Ribeye of the sky. I'm just dying to try it. And then I want to get into the big game and do an African safari.
Okay.
I've heard so many stories from so many people, my father included. It just seems like a torch that needs to be passed.
Yeah.
To have the full experience.
For sure, that would be really cool. Something as well that like I'd love for you to share with people is your horse history. I'm not somebody who grew up with horses. I have a deep respect for people that do. You have some pretty lovely, expensive horses around here that I know nothing about. Zach was telling me they're called painted horses or something. Don't really understand any of that. I'm sure there's a lot of people on here who don't either. But you have a ring on your finger from a competition that you came into the finals for, I understand.
All right, guys, I have a confession to make. I have a terrible sense of direction, and it's no wonder I haven't got lost in the woods or eaten by a bear at this stage, but there's a reason for that, and it's because I have Onyx Hunt. Onyx Hunt is incredible. It's an incredible mapping feature, and it has helped me navigate my way out of some pretty sketchy areas using the compass feature. I've been able to get back to my truck. I've been able to drop pins and waypoints to be able to coordinate how to get to A to B, to be able to find that turkey that I saw on the road and knock and get permission. Guys, though, if you really want to know who's a fanatic at dropping pins, it's my husband, Zach. If you look in his phone, he has thousands of these pins. If it was the 1920s, he'd be able to trade them and get some money out of them. But don't take my opinion. Go and download Onyx today and check it out for yourself. Good luck this fall. When you think of the biggest hunting shows, the most legendary hunting shows in outdoor television, what channel do you think of? Outdoor Channel. Country Outdoors is very proud of our partnership with Outdoor Channel, which started during the pandemic in 2020 with our turkey tour, and which has now evolved into a popular adventure series 4 years later. We are available on all Outdoor Channel digital outlets, including My Outdoor TV. And guys, they're giving out a free subscription to My Outdoor TV, so go and check it out.
Tell us a little bit about like your family's horse history, because you were telling me earlier, is your mom and your parents actually met at...
They did.
Yeah.
Yeah, they met through horses. They claim my dad bought some horse just to impress my mom with.
Wow.
And so that's how they ended up meeting. But it was cute. Sold each other. He sold her hay. It was a fun little story, but neither one of them ever wanted to share the full story, so who knows? That's just bits and pieces that I've learned along the way.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
But I started riding when I was probably 2 weeks old.
What?
I was riding by myself by the time I was 2.
On what?
For then, it was big horses because they're more stable, less darty.
They just put you on the big horse?
Put me on the big horse. It was with my mom, like 2 weeks old, obviously. She's sitting,
holding you.
She's holding
Yeah. They're not just putting you on the horse.
Very, very, yes. Yeah. Good, need to clarify that.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I had a donkey.
Aww.
Her name was Jenna.
Aww.
She was the cutest little thing.
Bless.
And I don't know, maybe this is a story to tell, maybe it's not. But you know how you have like a little riding crop?
Yeah.
So this donkey, it was very stubborn.
Yep.
Of course, donkeys are known for being stubborn.
Yep.
No matter how much you pulled her one way or the other,
Yeah.
it didn't always work, especially for a little baby. Think of your daughter on a donkey, okay?
Okay.
So I had this little whipper, and it kind of helped to go in any direction because you don't have much muscle, much movement. Obviously, I wasn't going to hurt her. Tiny little thing here. My mom took a piece of rawhide, put it on the end, tied it around my wrist. So I held the reins with one hand, and I had my whipper in the other one, and that's what I used, either in the front or the back to get her to go forward. And that's kind of what I was known for there in the early starts.
Did they call you Whipper?
Yeah. I had my whipper, a little purple crop with a rawhide string around the end of it.
Oh my gosh, that's
But that was
awesome.
a fun time. So I started then. It's definitely my mother's passion. She has ridden and showed her entire life, and she's incredible at it. She is a true horsewoman.
Well, let's talk about the horses and at what level, because people that know, yeah.
Yes. Okay. So started out on American quarter horses, and I still do American quarter horses. I don't personally own one right now. I sold mine about this time last year. I have been riding my sister's horse, catch riding for her, which is where the ring came into play. So it's this thing called the American Quarter Horse Congress. It's the largest single horse breed horse show in the world. And so it's a month-long horse show. And there's people that stay for the whole thing. I'm only there a few days. But this past year is my first time ever showing. I've been going my entire life, and you just dream of this kind of opportunity. And really, I couldn't even dream about it growing up. Like, I never thought that would be something I would do. And this past year,
Why? Just because, like, the skill level involved
it's that big of a deal.
Yeah.
To have the quality of rider and horse and chance to make it happen.
How do you submit to show?
So for that one, I was pretty lucky on. They added a new division to where you didn't have to pre-qualify as much. So you can call it cheating. It's not, because it's a new division that they added. So it's a little bit easier skill level.
So then what does that look like still to submit? Like, you had to enter?
It's easy. Yeah, that one's pretty easy. It's just like any other normal horse show that you sign up for.
Okay.
But it's just the intimidation factor that many people do not.
Yeah.
I mean, I
Because
think
there's so many people.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think I still competed with right at 100 horses for my division. And so I made it into the top 20.
Wow.
And so that's where the finalist came into play. But that was just, it was incredible. It really was. And you want to talk about fashion and bling. And if you think Vegas has a lot of fashion and bling at the rodeo finals, find yourself a Quarter Horse Congress. Columbus, Ohio, the whole month of October. It's worth it just to go see, even if you're not a horse person.
And so what does that look like in terms of, like, okay, you know that, how do you pick the outfit? Like, what does it look like even in terms of, like, I don't know, like the moves that you're doing with the horse? Like, how do you train for that?
Luckily, I've had it from a young age, so I just kind of able to figure that out as I go along. I've had several trainers, friends that have been able to teach me those things.
Is it like a certain, like...
Discipline, yes. So the quarter horse, I did Western pleasure. So that's the discipline that you're going in. And it's a very slow, relaxed place where you're just showing yourself as the rider and your horse of how they can perform.
Are you in there by yourself when you're showing?
No.
So there's 100 horses in there?
They split it up into divisions. So I think there was about 30 in each class. And so there's still a lot of people to compete with in a ring.
And so you're trying to not, like, look at anybody else and just focus on yourself?
You're not supposed to move. They're not supposed to be able to tell that you can move. You sit here with one hand down, your chin up, and you're smiling the whole time. And you're just jogging along.
And you're, like, not trying to look at anyone. You're just,
not
like,
supposed to move. Your horse isn't supposed to move out of position. It's very...
So the horse stands there the whole time?
No, you're still doing your different gaits.
But
their head's not supposed to go up and down a whole lot. Their horse can't be looking around. You're supposed to just be...
Do you have a video of this?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Watch her competing here now. Wow, that's really cool. And so, like, do you have any other aspirations when it comes to horses?
Absolutely. So I showed American Saddlebreds for almost 20 years.
And what is that? Because I don't know.
So American Saddlebreds, that is pretty much the complete opposite of the Western Pleasure Quarter Horse.
Okay.
It is a game, sporty horse. They used to use them in the parades, and so you can go and look at the Thanksgiving Day parade. There's a group out of California. They use nothing but saddlebreds, and they have the big silver parade saddles that dangle down, and their bridles, and the fancy outfits that go with that. And it's really cool to look into.
A bit more fast-paced.
Definitely more fast-paced. You are flying.
Okay.
And it's still the goal of you have to look like you know what you're doing. Your horse has to look like it's doing the most that it can do. You're getting the most out of that animal. And you're still working as a team, and you're making it look easy and comfortable. But if you look uncomfortable or your horse looks uncomfortable, you're missing the point.
For this one, are you rehearsing more?
Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Because it's more of a dance.
It is. It uses every single muscle in your body.
Gotcha.
You have to be 2 steps ahead the entire time. It is fast paced. It's like driving a race car. But I support the breed completely. It sometimes gets compared to the Tennessee walking breed.
Gotcha.
Where they get into some of the more not so nice things to do to the horses. I don't support that.
Yeah.
But they look similar, so those that don't know horses, the American Saddlebreds get a bad rep.
Gotcha.
But they shouldn't. because
Gotcha.
it's not the same thing.
And so for this, like these breeds of horses, what does that look like investment-wise?
A lot. It's like a boat.
I think it's more than a boat though. Like for those of us who don't really know, like give us like a ballpark figure of what it's like, looks like for the horse, competing, clothing, all of this.
So let me tell you what we did for it before I give like any kind of a number.
Okay.
We always bought something that was either young or freshly started, and you train it to make it be a better horse. You get the age, you get the experience and the miles on it. You sell it for a higher number, then you buy something else. You work your way up. You turn it into a business opportunity, not just throwing away money for fun. That's what we always did. Other people, if they have the money to throw away, let them throw it away. And they can be easily, you're looking any mid-5 figures.
Yeah.
But I've seen them, I've showed with a horse. I obviously did not win, but I showed with a horse that was 1.2 million.
Yeah.
Now the market in the past few years has changed so much, it's beyond that.
Wow.
I would never imagine spending that kind of money on an animal. But
And so, and are you competing for a trophy, or is it for a cash prize, or does it just depend?
it depends on where you are.
Yeah.
A lot of it's kind of more of a title thing.
Yeah.
And so you win awards, at each event.
Yeah.
But then you have end of year awards, but then it just becomes more of a making a name for yourself. For your horse, for your barn, whoever you're with.
Amazing. And then so like coming back to the ranch here, or to the, plantation, do you think you'll ever do anything like equestrian? Because I know you've got the horses here.
Right.
Which is, I'm assuming right now, just personal.
Yes.
But will you do anything equestrian wise here, do you think, like down the track?
Maybe. I'm never going to say never
Yeah.
to pretty much anything like that. What we have now is very low key. They're called gypsy vanners. They're fancy horses, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But we treat them low key. We trail ride with them almost every day. We do show them a little bit, but nothing super competitive. It's just for fun now.
Yeah.
We have a ring back there, and we talked about adding more of like a covered style ring, and that would give the opportunity to host some horse shows and stuff. I've not looked into what all that requires. My parents, they've hosted some in the past in West Virginia at our property up there.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's not something I've totally looked into a lot.
It's like step by step. Start with the event center.
Yeah.
Get through this year.
If there's
and
enough
then,
interest,
yeah.
then that's where you go with it.
I love it. Okay, so let's end this off with what are your goals for the plantation, and where can people find you? When is the event center going to be finished? And if people want to come out and book a hunt, how can they do that?
Okay. What order do you want me to go for those questions?
Okay, yeah.
Just kidding, you're fine.
Yeah, you've got it, Morgan.
So as far as the event center goes, that is mostly ready now. We got to change out a few lights. We got to tweak a few little things. We got a fireplace to build outside. Fully, I would say it'd be ready by next fall.
25.
25, yes, fall of 2025. We could do some smaller events now, but full speed probably next fall is more realistic. I'm going to give myself some time to make sure it's right. Yeah. I don't want to do something unless you're doing it the right way.
Yeah.
So that would be for that. As far as future goals for this place, I think the event center is going to be great.
Yeah.
We have the formal one that we showed today. But then we also have a new one at the boathouse. It's kind of going to be more of a personalized thing where you can have dinner on the water. So you're going to have multiple event spots that you can choose from depending on your style of event. I'd love to do more of that. The quail hunting is still going to be our number one. That's not going to change. I'm still going to welcome weekend hunters for if you have a father and child or want to do a full family trip. That would be awesome. We have those all the time.
Is that just contacting you and seeing if there's spots anytime?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So the quail season runs October 1st through the end of March.
Yeah.
We do have a booking office phone number for that.
Yeah.
She runs our calendar. And let's see, corporate events and large group events is what we're really wanting to push for.
Okay.
And rather that be using the event space or not, that's optional, but just having that big group coming together and doing an activity together.
It's perfect for it.
It is. It is.
Amazing.
So that's what we're trying to reach for.
Okay, amazing. Well, thank you so much for joining the podcast. You did great.
Thanks.
Absolutely amazing. Guys, go and check out Almost Heaven Plantation and Morgan Hylton Official on Instagram. And if you haven't yet watched our episode of Country Outdoors Adventures, quail hunting down here, go and check it out so you can get a little insight into what is all going on down here yourselves. Thank you.
Had a great time. Thanks,
Yeah,
Mary.
me too. Thank you.